Enzo Anselmo Ferrari was born on February 18, 1898, in the small city of Modena, Italy. Modena was not rich or famous at that time, but it was full of skilled workers, metal shops, and people who loved machines. This city would later become known as the heart of Italian sports cars, but back then, it was simply home. Enzo's father, Alfredo Ferrari, owned a small metal workshop. He made parts for machines and trains. From a very young age, Enzo spent time in this workshop. He watched sparks fly from metal, listened to loud tools, and smelled oil and iron every day. This environment shaped him. Cars were not just objects to him, they were living machines. Enzo had one older brother, Dino Ferrari. Dino was strong, smart, and confident. Enzo looked up to him deeply. Their mother, Adalgisa Ferrari, was strict but caring. She wanted her sons to grow up disciplined and respectful. When Enzo was 10 years old, his father took him to a car race in Bologna in 1908. This moment changed Enzo's life forever. He watched racing cars move faster than anything he had ever seen. The sound, the speed, the danger, it all burned into his mind. That day, Enzo decided he wanted to become a racing driver. At that time, racing was extremely dangerous. Drivers had no seatbelts, no helmets like today, and cars often caught fire. But Enzo was not afraid. He believed racing was the purest form of life. Enzo's childhood was not easy. In 1916, when Enzo was only 18, tragedy struck the Ferrari family. First, his father Alfredo died after a serious illness. Just months later, his brother Dino also died. These losses destroyed the family emotionally and financially. Without his father, the workshop closed. The family lost their income. Enzo had to grow up fast. His dreams of racing suddenly felt far away. He left school and looked for work to survive. Then came World War I. Enzo was sent to the army and worked as a blacksmith for the Italian military. The work was hard and dangerous. During the war, Enzo became very sick with pleurisy, a serious lung disease. Many people thought he would die. He was sent home from the army because doctors believed he was too weak to continue. This illness saved his life, but it also left him poor, tired, and alone. After the war ended in 1918, Italy was in chaos. Jobs were rare, money was tight, and industries were broken. Enzo Ferrari wanted to work with cars, but nobody wanted to hire him. He first applied to Fiat, the biggest car company in Italy. Fiat rejected him. This rejection hurt deeply, but Enzo did not give up. Instead, he found a small job as a test driver for a company called CMN, Costruzioni Meccanica Nazionale, in Milan. CMN made simple cars from old military parts. In 1919, Enzo raced for the first time in the Parma Poggio di Berceto Hill climb race. He did not win, but he proved he could drive. Racing was still dangerous, dusty, and poorly organized. Drivers often fixed their own cars and risked death in every race. In 1920, Enzo joined Alfa Romeo as a racing driver. This was a major step in his life. Alfa Romeo was one of the most important car companies in Italy, and racing was a key part of its identity. At Alfa Romeo, Enzo raced against some of the best drivers in Europe. He was not the fastest or most talented driver, but he was smart, brave, and extremely determined. He understood cars deeply and knew how to push machines to their limits. Enzo won his first major race in 1923, the Circuito del Savio. This victory was important not just for racing reasons, but for emotional ones too. After the race, Enzo met Count Enrico Baracca and Countess Paolina Baracca, the parents of Francesco Baracca, a famous Italian World War I fighter pilot. Francesco Baracca's airplane had a black prancing horse painted on it. Countess Paolina suggested that Enzo use the prancing horse symbol on his racing cars for good luck. Enzo never forgot this moment. Many years later, that horse would become one of the most famous logos in the world. During the 1920s, Enzo slowly realized something important. He loved organizing racing teams more than driving cars himself. He was good at finding talented drivers, motivating them, and managing machines. He understood racing strategy, logistics, and pressure better than most people. In 1929, Enzo Ferrari founded Scuderia Ferrari in Modena. The word Scuderia means stable, like a stable for horses. At first, Scuderia Ferrari was not a car manufacturer. It was a racing team that prepared and ran Alfa Romeo cars for private drivers. Scuderia Ferrari quickly became very successful. It supported many drivers and helped Alfa Romeo dominate Italian racing. Enzo managed the team with iron discipline. He demanded loyalty, courage, and sacrifice. Drivers respected him but also feared him. Enzo believed that racing required pain and risk. He often pushed people beyond their limits. By the early 1930s, Scuderia Ferrari was running dozens of cars and had become the largest racing team in Italy. Enzo Ferrari was now a powerful figure in motorsport, but success brought conflict. In 1937, Alfa Romeo decided to take direct control of its racing operations again. Scuderia Ferrari was slowly pushed aside. Enzo Ferrari was hired by Alfa Romeo, but his power was reduced. This situation frustrated Enzo deeply. He felt trapped. He wanted freedom, control, and the ability to build something of his own. In 1939, Enzo Ferrari finally left Alfa Romeo. However, there was a problem. His contract included a rule that said he could not use the name Ferrari in racing or car manufacturing for 4 years. To survive, Enzo started a small company called Auto Avio Costruzioni. This company made machine tools and aircraft parts. Racing was officially forbidden, but Enzo still dreamed of building his own car. In 1940, Auto Avio Costruzioni built 2 racing cars called the AAC 815. These cars raced in the Mille Miglia, but World War II soon stopped all racing activities. World War II was brutal for Italy. Bombs destroyed cities, factories, and lives. Enzo Ferrari's factory in Modena was bombed in 1944. Instead of giving up, Enzo moved his company to Maranello, a small town near Modena. Maranello would later become legendary. During the war, Enzo focused on survival. He made grinding machines and tools for other industries. Racing was only a memory during these dark years, but in his mind, Enzo was planning something bigger. After the war ended in 1945, Enzo Ferrari was finally free. The contract that stopped him from using his own name had expired. In 1947, Enzo Ferrari officially founded Ferrari SPA. That same year, Ferrari built its first car, the Ferrari 125S. This car had a V12 engine, designed by Gioacchino Colombo. Enzo believed strongly in V12 engines. He thought they were smooth, powerful, and perfect for racing. The Ferrari 125S raced for the first time in May 1947. It did not finish the race due to mechanical problems. Enzo famously said, "It was a promising failure." Just weeks later, the same car won its first race. Ferrari had arrived. By 1947, Enzo Ferrari was 49 years old. He had suffered poverty, war, illness, rejection, and loss. All of this shaped his personality. Enzo believed racing came before everything. Road cars existed only to fund racing. Pain, sacrifice, and pressure were part of greatness. Winning was the only true goal. Ferrari cars were not built to be comfortable. They were built to win. This mindset would define Ferrari forever. When Ferrari was officially born in 1947, Enzo Ferrari had one clear goal: to win races. He did not dream of selling luxury cars or building a big company for rich customers. To Enzo, road cars were only a way to make money to support racing. In the beginning, Ferrari was very small. The factory in Maranello had few workers, simple tools, and little money. Many people did not believe the company would survive, but Enzo Ferrari believed strongly in his vision. The Ferrari 125S, the first Ferrari car, showed what Enzo wanted. It was light, fast, and powered by a V12 engine. At that time, using a V12 in a small car was unusual. Many people thought it was too complex and expensive. Enzo did not care. He believed that a Ferrari should have many cylinders and a strong engine sound. Soon after the first race win in 1947, Ferrari started improving its cars. New models appeared quickly, often changing from race to race. Ferrari was learning fast. In the late 1940s, Italy became the main battlefield for Ferrari. Races like the Mille Miglia, Targa Florio, and Tour of Sicily were extremely important. These were long road races on public roads, passing through villages, mountains, and dangerous corners. Ferrari cars began winning races against much bigger companies. One of Ferrari's first big victories came in 1948, when a Ferrari won the Mille Miglia in its class. This made people notice the small company from Maranello. Ferrari drivers were brave and often reckless. Cars broke down often and crashes were common. Death was part of racing in those years. Enzo Ferrari accepted this reality, even though it deeply affected him emotionally. By 1949, Ferrari won its first major international victory, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. This was a huge moment. Le Mans was the most famous endurance race in the world, and Ferrari beat powerful rivals. This victory proved that Ferrari was not just an Italian success, it was now a world-class racing brand. In 1950, a new racing championship began, Formula One. Ferrari entered Formula One in its very first season. At first, Ferrari was not dominant. Alfa Romeo was stronger in the early years, but Ferrari was patient and kept improving. In 1951, Ferrari won its first Formula One race at the British Grand Prix. This was a symbolic moment. Ferrari had beaten Alfa Romeo, the company that once rejected Enzo and later limited his freedom. From that point on, Ferrari became a permanent force in Formula One. While racing brought fame, it did not bring enough money. Ferrari needed to sell cars to survive. In the late 1940s and early 1950s, Ferrari began selling road-legal sports cars to wealthy customers. These cars were still closely related to race cars. They were loud, fast, and uncomfortable, but rich drivers loved them. Ferrari did not design car bodies itself. Instead, it worked with famous Italian design houses called coach builders, such as Pininfarina, later called Pininfarina Touring Vignale. Each Ferrari model could look different depending on the bodybuilder. This gave Ferrari cars a unique and artistic look. Ferrari road cars were rare. Only a few were built each year. Buyers were often racers, movie stars, or businessmen who wanted something special. One of the most important early Ferrari cars was the Ferrari 166. It came in both racing and road versions. The 166mm won the Mille Miglia and Le Mans. The road versions were among the first Ferraris sold to private customers. Another important model was the Ferrari 212, which continued Ferrari's success in both racing and street use. These cars built Ferrari's reputation for strong engines, lightweight design, beautiful bodies, racing DNA. Enzo Ferrari was not an easy man to work with. He ruled his company with fear and respect. He demanded absolute loyalty. Engineers, mechanics, and drivers often worked very long hours. Mistakes were not tolerated. Enzo believed pressure created excellence. Drivers were treated like warriors. If a driver complained too much, Enzo replaced him. But if a driver won races, Enzo treated him like a hero. Despite his cold image, Enzo cared deeply about racing. He saw drivers as his soldiers. When they died, he suffered silently. The 1950s were successful, but also extremely tragic for Ferrari. Many drivers died while racing Ferrari cars. The worst year was 1957. During the Mille Miglia race, Ferrari driver. Alfonso de Portago crashed at high speed. The crash killed him, his co-driver, and several spectators, including children. Italy was shocked. The government blamed Ferrari. Enzo Ferrari was accused of manslaughter. Newspapers attacked him. Racing on public roads was soon banned in Italy. Enzo Ferrari was deeply affected. He became more closed and distant. He wore dark sunglasses more often and avoided public appearances. Although he was later cleared of charges, the emotional damage remained. Despite tragedy, Ferrari continued to grow. In the late 1950s, Ferrari became popular outside Italy, especially in the United States. American drivers and wealthy customers loved Ferrari's racing success and exotic image. Ferrari began exporting more cars to America. This brought much-needed money. The partnership with Pininfarina became stronger. Ferrari cars now had a more consistent and elegant design style. By the end of the 1950s, Ferrari had created some of its most legendary cars. Ferrari 250 series. The Ferrari 250 series became one of the most famous car families in history. The number 250 referred to the engine size per cylinder. Important models included 250 Europa, 250 GT, 250 Testarossa, a racing legend, 250 GT, California. These cars were fast, beautiful, and successful in racing. They defined what a Ferrari should be. The 250 Testarossa dominated endurance racing and became one of the most valuable cars ever made. By 1960, Ferrari had achieved what few believed possible. Ferrari was a major force in Formula One, a winner at Le Mans, a symbol of Italian excellence, a producer of beautiful and powerful road cars. But challenges were coming. Competition was increasing. Costs were rising. Enzo Ferrari was aging. New rivals, new rules, and new technologies would soon test Ferrari's strength. The 1960s were a turning point for Ferrari. By now, Ferrari was famous all over the world. The red cars from Maranello were symbols of speed, beauty, and victory. Rich people wanted Ferrari road cars, and racing fans followed Ferrari passionately. But success also brought pressure. Racing was becoming more professional, more expensive, and more political. New rules appeared in Formula One and sports car racing. Big companies with large budgets entered the sport. Ferrari had to fight harder than ever to stay on top. Enzo Ferrari was now in his 60s, but he still controlled everything. Nothing happened at Ferrari without his approval. Ferrari continued to race in Formula One, and the 1960s brought both success and tragedy. In 1961, Ferrari won the Formula One World Championship with American driver Phil Hill. This was a proud moment. Ferrari became the first and only team to win the championship with an American driver. That same year, Ferrari also won the Constructors' Championship. But behind the scenes, things were falling apart. In 1961, Ferrari faced one of the biggest internal crises in its history. Several top engineers and managers left the company after arguments with Enzo Ferrari and his wife, Laura Ferrari. This event became known as the Palace Revolt. Key people who left included Carlo Citti, chief engineer, Giotto Bizzarini, engineer. Other important staff. They felt Enzo ruled through fear and interference. Enzo felt betrayed. This split weakened Ferrari badly. The people who left later helped create rival teams that would challenge Ferrari. During the 1960s, British racing teams like Lotus, BRM, and McLaren became very strong. They introduced new ideas, like rear-engine cars, lightweight chassis, better aerodynamics. Ferrari was slow to adopt some of these changes. Enzo Ferrari trusted his traditional methods and Italian engineers. As a result, Ferrari struggled in Formula One during the mid-1960s. Wins became rare, championships disappeared. While Formula One was difficult, Ferrari became dominant in sports car racing. Ferrari won Le Mans Daytona, Sebring Targa, Florio cars, like the Ferrari 250 GTO, 250 LM, and 330 P4 became legends. The Ferrari 250 GTO, introduced in 1962, is now considered one of the greatest cars ever made. It was fast, beautiful, and successful. Only 36 units were built. The 330 P4 fought legendary battles against Ford in the late 1960s. These races became part of motorsport history. One of the most famous stories in Ferrari history is the war with Ford. In the early 1960s, Ford tried to buy Ferrari. Negotiations went far, but Enzo Ferrari canceled the deal at the last moment. He refused to give up control of Ferrari's racing activities. Ford was furious. In response, Ford decided to beat Ferrari at Le Mans. They invested massive amounts of money and built the Ford GT40. From 1966 to 1969, Ford defeated Ferrari at Le Mans. This was a painful defeat for Enzo Ferrari. But the rivalry pushed Ferrari to become stronger and more focused. During the 1960s, Ferrari road cars became more refined and comfortable. They were no longer just race cars with license plates. Ferrari began producing Grand Tourers, GT cars, that could be driven long distances in comfort while still offering high performance. Important models included 250 GT Lusso, 275 GTB, 330 GT. These cars combined beauty, speed, and craftsmanship. Interiors became more luxurious. Design became smoother and more elegant. Ferrari's V12 engines became the heart of the brand. These engines were powerful, smooth, and had a unique sound. Ferrari engineers continued to improve them, making them stronger and more reliable. The V12 became a symbol of Ferrari's soul. The 1970s brought major challenges. Formula One revival. In 1975, Ferrari returned to the top of Formula One. With driver Niki Lauda, Ferrari won. Drivers' Championship, 1975-1977. Constructors' Championship. Lauda was calm, technical, and intelligent. He worked closely with engineers to improve the car. In 1976, Lauda suffered a terrible crash at the German Grand Prix. His car caught fire. He was badly burned and almost died. Amazingly, Lauda returned to racing just 6 weeks later. This showed the extreme courage of Ferrari drivers. Ferrari lost the 1976 championship by a small margin, but the team gained worldwide respect. During the 1970s, new safety and pollution laws appeared, especially in the United States. Ferrari had to adapt its cars. Engines became less powerful. Designs changed. Some fans felt Ferrari lost part of its wild nature. Still, Ferrari produced important cars. 365 GTB4 Daytona, 308 GTB 512BB. The 308 GTB became very popular, especially after appearing in TV shows. It introduced a V8 engine for Ferrari road cars, which became very important in the future. Ferrari never wanted to become a mass producer. Enzo Ferrari believed rarity created desire. However, rising costs forced Ferrari to produce more cars than before. This created tension between tradition and survival. Ferrari remained independent but fragile. By 1979, Ferrari had survived internal revolts, powerful rivals, racing tragedies, economic challenges. Ferrari remained a racing icon, a symbol of Italian design, a company built around passion and pain. But Enzo Ferrari was now over 80 years old. The future was uncertain. When the 1980s began, Ferrari was in trouble. The company was famous, but fame alone could not solve its problems. Racing results were poor, road cars were aging, and competition was stronger than ever. Enzo Ferrari was now in his 80s. His mind was still sharp, but his energy was fading. Ferrari needed change, But change was difficult in a company built on tradition and strict control. Formula One, once Ferrari's greatest pride, had become a major problem. In 1980, Ferrari had one of the worst Formula One seasons in its history. The car was slow, unreliable, and badly designed. Ferrari finished near the bottom of the championship. This was painful for Enzo Ferrari. He believed racing was Ferrari's soul. Losing felt like losing identity. Other teams, especially Williams, McLaren, and Brabham, were using new technologies like ground effect aerodynamics, turbo engines, better wind tunnel testing. Ferrari was behind. Ferrari made a bold decision to develop a turbocharged engine for Formula One. This was risky. Turbo engines were powerful but difficult to control and unreliable. Ferrari engineers worked day and night. Slowly, the cars improved. By 1982, Ferrari had built a very competitive car. That season should have been a great success. Instead, it became one of the darkest years in Ferrari history. In 1982, Ferrari lost two drivers. First, Gilles Villeneuve, one of Ferrari's most loved drivers, died during qualifying at the Belgian Grand Prix. Villeneuve was fearless, emotional, and deeply loyal to Ferrari. Enzo Ferrari saw him like a son. Just weeks later, Didier Pironi, another Ferrari driver, suffered a terrible crash that ended his career. Ferrari had the fastest car that year and won the Constructors' Championship, but Enzo Ferrari could not celebrate. The season was filled with pain and loss. After Villeneuve's death, Enzo Ferrari became even more distant and silent. Many people said a part of him died that day. While Formula One was unstable, Ferrari's road car business was also struggling. In the early 1980s, Ferrari cars were still beautiful, but they faced problems. Poor build quality, reliability issues, old technology. Customers complained about rust, electrical problems, and uncomfortable interiors. Japanese brands were improving fast. Even Porsche offered more reliable sports cars. Ferrari needed modernization. Ferrari had been partly owned by Fiat since 1969, but Enzo Ferrari still controlled most decisions. In the 1980s, Fiat increased its involvement to save Ferrari. This gave Ferrari access to better management, production systems, financial stability. Some fans feared Fiat would destroy Ferrari's soul. Enzo Ferrari promised that racing would remain independent. Ferrari slowly began to modernize its road cars. Important models included 308 GTB, GTS, 328 Mondial Testarossa. The Testarossa, released in 1984, became an icon of the 1980s. It was wide, aggressive, and powerful, with large side intakes. It symbolized wealth, speed, and excess. The Testarossa sold well and brought Ferrari important income. After the disasters of the early 1980s, Ferrari began rebuilding its Formula One team. Key changes included better engineers, improved organization, focus on reliability. In 1983, Ferrari won another Constructors' Championship, but the Drivers' Championship remained out of reach. Ferrari was competitive, but not dominant. One of the deepest wounds in Enzo Ferrari's life was the death of his son Dino Ferrari in 1956. Dino had helped design Ferrari engines and was meant to lead the company. Even decades later, Enzo never recovered from this loss. It shaped many of his decisions, including his obsession with racing and control. In the 1980s, Enzo knew time was running out. He wanted Ferrari to survive without him. In 1987, Ferrari created one of the most important cars in its history, the Ferrari F40. The F40 was built to celebrate Ferrari's 40th anniversary. It was the last Ferrari approved personally by Enzo Ferrari. The F40 was raw and extreme. Twin-turbo V8 engine, no power steering, no luxury features, lightweight body. Enzo Ferrari wanted the F40 to be a pure machine, not a comfortable car. Many people consider it the last true Ferrari. The F40 became a legend instantly. By the late 1980s, Enzo Ferrari rarely appeared in public. He spent most of his time in Maranello, watching races on television and reading reports. In 1988, Ferrari won the Italian Grand Prix, just weeks after Enzo Ferrari's death. This emotional victory happened at Monza, Ferrari's home race. Enzo Ferrari died on August 14, 1988, at the age of 90. Italy mourned. The world of motorsport changed forever. After Enzo Ferrari's death, many people feared Ferrari would lose its direction. But Ferrari survived. Fiat took full control of the company. New leaders promised to protect Enzo's vision while modernizing the brand. Ferrari continued racing, building cars, and improving its technology. In the early 1990s, Ferrari was still not winning Formula One championships, but it was improving. The company invested in new factories, better engineering, long-term planning. Ferrari understood that passion alone was no longer enough. Discipline, data, and organization were needed. By 1991, Ferrari had survived Enzo Ferrari's death, stabilized its finances, created iconic road cars, rebuilt its racing foundation. Ferrari was no longer just Enzo Ferrari's dream. It was now a global company with a legendary past and a difficult future. When Enzo Ferrari died in 1988, Ferrari lost more than a founder. It lost its heart, its ruler, and its guiding force. For more than 40 years, Enzo Ferrari had controlled everything. Now, Ferrari had to survive without him. Many people believed Ferrari would slowly fade away. Others feared it would become just another car brand owned by a big company. Ferrari was now fully controlled by Fiat, but Fiat understood something important. Ferrari must stay special. Ferrari needed to change, but it also needed to protect its soul. The 1990s became a time of rebuilding, learning, and transformation. Ferrari entered the 1990s still dreaming of Formula One championships, but the reality was hard. Ferrari had fast drivers and powerful engines, but the team was disorganized. Mistakes were common. Reliability was poor. Strategy failed too often. Other teams like McLaren and Williams were highly organized and very professional. Ferrari still relied too much on passion and tradition. Ferrari came close to success in 1990, when Alain Prost nearly won the championship. He lost by a very small margin. After that, Ferrari fell behind again. Fans became frustrated. Ferrari had not won a driver's championship since 1979. In 1993, Ferrari made one of the most important decisions in its history. It hired Jean Todt, a calm, disciplined French manager, as head of Ferrari's racing team. Todt was very different from Enzo Ferrari. He did not rule by fear. He ruled by organization, planning, and patience. At first, many people doubted him. Ferrari was an Italian symbol. Todt was not Italian. But Todt believed Ferrari needed structure, not chaos. He began slowly rebuilding the team. Clear leadership, better communication, long-term thinking. He knew results would not come quickly. In 1996, Ferrari made another historic move. It signed Michael Schumacher, already a two-time Formula One world champion, from Benetton. Schumacher did not come alone. He brought key people with him: Ross Brawn, strategy; Rory Byrne, design. Together with Jean Todt, they formed a powerful team. Schumacher believed Ferrari could win again, but only if everything changed. The early years were difficult. Ferrari cars were fast but unreliable. Schumacher pushed the team hard. He tested endlessly. He demanded perfection. Slowly, Ferrari improved. From 1996 to 1999, Ferrari focused on building foundations. They invested heavily in testing, data analysis, aerodynamics, reliability. Ferrari began winning races regularly, but championships were still out of reach. In 1999, Ferrari won the Constructors' Championship for the first time in 16 years. Schumacher was injured that year, but the team proved it was strong. This victory showed that Ferrari was finally ready. The year 2000 changed everything. Michael Schumacher won the Drivers' Championship, ending Ferrari's 21-year drought. Ferrari also won the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari fans cried. Italy celebrated. The curse was broken. What followed was one of the greatest periods of dominance in sports history. From 2000 to 2004, Ferrari won 5 Drivers' Championships, all with Schumacher, 6 Constructors' Championships. Ferrari cars were fast, reliable, and perfectly managed. Pit stops were flawless. Strategy was smart. Mistakes were rare. Ferrari had become a machine. Michael Schumacher became a legend. He broke record after record. And Ferrari became unbeatable. For many fans, this era defined Ferrari forever. After 2004, Formula One rules changed. Ferrari lost some advantages. Rivals improved. In 2005, Ferrari struggled badly. Schumacher won only one race. In 2006, Ferrari fought back. Schumacher nearly won the championship but lost narrowly. He retired at the end of the season. Ferrari still won championships after Schumacher, including 2007 with Kimi Räikkönen and 2008 Constructors. But the golden age was over. Still, Ferrari had proven it could succeed without Enzo Ferrari. While Formula One success brought fame, Ferrari's road cars were also changing rapidly. Ferrari had to meet safety rules, emission laws, customer expectations. Cars needed to be faster, safer, and easier to drive. Ferrari invested heavily in technology, much of it coming from Formula One. Ferrari produced a new generation of supercars that mixed extreme performance with modern engineering. The F50 followed the F40. It used a Formula One-inspired V12 engine. It was raw, loud, and powerful. Some people criticized it, but it stayed true to Ferrari's racing spirit. Named after the founder, the Ferrari Enzo was one of the most advanced cars of its time. It featured carbon fiber body Formula One-style gearbox, advanced aerodynamics. The Enzo showed how far Ferrari had come. Ferrari's V8 cars became extremely important during this period. Models like 348, 355, 360, Modena, F430. These cars were easier to drive, more reliable, still very fast. They brought Ferrari to a wider audience while keeping exclusivity. The F355 in particular became one of Ferrari's most loved cars. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, Ferrari was more than a car company. It became a fashion symbol, a lifestyle brand, a global icon. Ferrari merchandise, events, and racing experiences expanded worldwide. Still, Ferrari carefully limited car production to protect exclusivity. Ferrari now faced a new challenge, staying true to Enzo Ferrari's philosophy while operating in a modern corporate world. Some fans worried Ferrari was becoming too commercial. Ferrari responded by protecting racing, keeping V12 engines alive, limiting production. Ferrari promised never to forget its roots. By 2010, Ferrari had achieved something remarkable. Ferrari had rebuilt itself after Enzo Ferrari's death, dominated Formula One, created legendary supercars, become one of the strongest brands in the world. Ferrari was no longer just a racing team that sold cars. It was a modern company built on passion, history, and technology. But new challenges were coming. The world was changing. Technology was evolving. Environmental pressure was rising. Ferrari's next chapter would be its most difficult yet. By 2010, the world around Ferrari had changed more than ever before. Governments were demanding lower emissions, better fuel efficiency, safer cars. Customers wanted extreme performance, comfort, and technology, daily usability. Racing was also changing. Formula One became more political, more expensive, and more regulated. Ferrari faced its hardest challenge yet: how to stay Ferrari in a world that no longer allowed wild freedom. After the Schumacher era, Ferrari was still competitive, but no longer dominant. The Alonso years, 2010 to 2014. In 2010, Ferrari signed Fernando Alonso, one of the best drivers in the world. Alonso was fast, smart, and aggressive. He pushed Ferrari to its limits. Ferrari came very close to winning championships. 2010, lost the title in the final race. 2012, lost the title again by a very small margin. These seasons were painful. Ferrari had strong drivers, but the cars were not always good enough. Mistakes in strategy and development cost Ferrari dearly. Still, Ferrari remained one of the top teams in Formula One. In 2014, Formula One changed completely. New rules introduced: hybrid power units, turbocharged V6 engines, energy recovery systems. Ferrari struggled badly with this change. Mercedes mastered the new technology and dominated Formula One for years. Ferrari was left behind. For Ferrari fans, this was frustrating. Ferrari had always been about loud engines and raw power. Hybrids felt cold and complicated. But Ferrari had no choice. The future had arrived. From 2015 onward, Ferrari began rebuilding once more. The team invested heavily in hybrid technology, data analysis, new engineers. Ferrari improved steadily, winning races and fighting Mercedes closely in some seasons. However, mistakes, pressure, and internal problems often stopped Ferrari from winning championships. Ferrari remained competitive, but not dominant. Still, Ferrari stayed true to Formula One. It was the only team to compete in every Formula One season since the championship began. While Formula One struggled, Ferrari road cars entered a new era. Ferrari understood something important. Hybrid technology could make cars faster, not weaker. In 2013, Ferrari introduced LaFerrari, its first hybrid hypercar. LaFerrari combined a powerful V12 engine and electric motor Formula One-derived systems. It produced massive power and incredible performance. Many fans feared hybrids would ruin Ferrari's soul. LaFerrari proved them wrong. It was fast, emotional, and unmistakably Ferrari. LaFerrari showed that technology could protect Ferrari's future. Ferrari invested heavily in design and aerodynamics. Modern Ferraris became faster than ever, safer than ever, easier to drive. Ferrari engineers focused on weight reduction, active aerodynamics. Advanced electronics cars could now be driven hard by normal drivers, not just professionals. Ferrari made another bold move. It replaced naturally aspirated engines with turbocharged engines. At first, fans complained. Turbo engines sounded different and felt less emotional, but Ferrari improved them quickly. Modern Ferrari turbo engines became extremely powerful, very responsive, highly efficient. Ferrari proved it could adapt without losing performance. Ferrari released many important models during the 2010s and 2020s. Key cars included 458 Italia, 488 GTB F8, Tributo 296 GTB. The 458 Italia is often considered one of the best Ferraris ever made. It was the last naturally aspirated V8 Ferrari. The 296 GTB introduced a V6 hybrid engine, showing Ferrari's commitment to the future. Despite change, Ferrari protected its V12 legacy. Cars like 812 Superfast, 812 Competizione. These cars kept the soul of classic Ferraris alive. Ferrari promised to keep V12 engines as long as possible. Ferrari did something once unthinkable. It built an SUV, Ferrari Purosangue. In 2022, Ferrari introduced the Purosangue, its first four-door car. Many fans were angry at first. Ferrari SUVs felt wrong, but Ferrari approached it differently. V12 engine limited production, focus on performance. Ferrari refused to call it an SUV. It called it a Ferrari with four doors. The Purosangue proved Ferrari could expand without becoming ordinary. Ferrari became a publicly traded company in 2015. This raised fears that Ferrari would become too commercial. Instead, Ferrari, limited production, increased quality, protected brand value. Ferrari focused on profit per car, not volume. This allowed Ferrari to remain exclusive. The modern world demands responsibility. Ferrari invested in cleaner engines, hybrid systems, sustainable factories. Ferrari promised that performance and responsibility could exist together. Electric Ferraris are planned for the future, but Ferrari insists they will still feel emotional. Today, Ferrari stands as a racing legend, a technology leader, a symbol of passion. Ferrari still believes racing defines the brand. Emotion matters. History must be respected. Ferrari cars are no longer wild machines, only for experts. They are refined, intelligent, and incredibly fast. But the soul remains. Ferrari's future includes hybrid evolution, electric technology, advanced materials, continued racing. Ferrari knows the world will keep changing. The challenge is the same as always. Stay Ferrari while moving forward, from a small workshop in Modena to one of the most famous brands on earth. Ferrari's story is about pain, passion, obsession, victory. Enzo Ferrari once said, "I build engines and attach wheels to them." That spirit still lives today. Ferrari is not perfect. It never was. But that is why it matters.